Have you ever seen garlic seeds? We often know that garlic cloves grow underground. As for garlic scapes, actually it was extracted from the middle of the garlic clove. What would happen if we didn't harvest the garlic scapes? It will then grow a mini garlic clove on top. The most basal and the most apical organs. They are exactly the same. Can you imagine a person whose head is both top and bottom? Or is it that both the upper and lower parts are anus? So here is the question. Where did the garlic seeds go? The large part at the bottom of the garlic clove is not a seed. It's not the root. Instead, it is a huge stem. Just like the edible part of a potato is its stem. The stem of garlic is called the lateral stem. The characteristic of proximity lies not in itself. It is surrounded by many protective forests. Lin Yes name. Actually, she's both fat and thick. It can store hidden energy on its back. We ate garlic cloves. It's actually pear leaves. It's white and smooth and looks very tempting. But once you bite it and break the cells, enzymes contained in vacuoles, it will react with the sulfur-containing substances in the cells. Compounds react to produce. With Westlake second flow and Allicin. The first two smelled bad. Allicin is irritating. It tastes very spicy. It can prevent birds and insects from biting. However, for humans, the more stimulating the flavor. Does it make me feel more satisfied when I eat it? Thus, Central Asia acquired the West Asian region. Around 5,000 years ago, garlic was cultivated by humans. No one knows who his ancestors were anymore, at least for cultivated crops. Extra large garlic cloves. It can definitely be called a qualified cultivator. 5 small plants are now being planted under normal conditions. 1 acre can yield 2,000, up to 3,500 gene. The yield is 2 to 3 times that of wheat. As a type of seasoning with relatively low demand, this production volume can be described as extremely conscientious. Although crops were domesticated, used by humans, however, their own population is also very prosperous. What happens when some characters are blurred out? Still has some pride. Many species, unstable shape or inability to reproduce. For example, pear peel, etc. Trees that need grafting and pollination. Potatoes need to be read about the static sprouts. Bananas are triploid. Asexual reproduction is required through buds. For garlic, we only need to take 1 clove, even without taking it off. He can then very proactively send out buds. What does a tender sprout need most? Sunshine, but some people are just too wicked. Not only did they prevent Shwaya from getting enough sun, but they also prevented him from getting enough sun. They were also placed in a dark, secret room. Shwaya only consumes its own energy. They became as pale and sickly as the people of Shu. Garlic in the face of this inhumane and unjust act, choosing to repay evil with good. The leaves that grow contain less sulfur. It smells fresher. Lower cellulose content. It tastes fresher and more tender. These garlic cloves then become garlic sprouts. It's great for stir-frying eggs or shrimp. If accidentally, let the garlic come into contact with the forbidden golden sunlight. Then he'll be too eager to improve. It turned greasy. Oily garlic sprouts. After you've dried it, you can stir-fry it and eat it. Garlic sprouts should not be eaten once they grow too large. However, even if a garlic clove grows to a certain size, he would then want to reproduce. To reproduce, one must flower. For a flower to bloom, a flower stalk must grow. We see the foxtail grass is smooth. It's easy to pull out. The following detailed section is the flower path. It is well known that an organism dilutes its resources for reproduction. Then the bonus nutrients are insufficient. Therefore, humans chose to make flower paths. It was forcibly pulled out. This flower path is also very. The most delicious part is the famous garlic sprouts. If we don't pick garlic scapes, then the garlic will flower and slowly grow. The sound of air approaching is also called heavenly garlic. Wild garlic and ground garlic compete for nutrients. new land, and the general's agreement. The entire court was naturally in turmoil. The garlic spider also became weak and withered, although wild garlic looks like garlic cloves. But ultimately, the foundation is unstable. It is very small. Plant garlic in the ground because of insufficient nutrients. Too many clones are also unsustainable. Therefore, they are very likely it will grow into a poisonous garlic clove. So, here raise the question, where did the seeds go? In fact, garlic contains serious chromosomal abnormalities. Degradation of the sole gel layer. Dinuclear pollen loses its activity. Cultivated garlic is actually highly infertile. When garlic and soil are in normal nutrient supply, the energy that was originally meant for the seeds was also absorbed by the garlic. It must be during the garlic flower development period. Continuously remove the chi-generating path and take other auxiliary measures. This is necessary for garlic to successfully germinate. In fact, garlic is a sterile species. It is surprisingly easy to grow. Garlic cloves can be stored for at least several months. It is hard and has a protective layer. It is also not easily damaged during transportation, aside from being larger in size, which means they need to be weighed more. And simple seeds? It seems there's no difference. It's so heartbreaking. I'm crying so hard. Hear my human name again. You are now the world's best blind monk. As for the garlic itself, the taste is, of course, superb. What happened after Zhang Qian brought it back more than 2,000 years ago? I've been eating. I can confidently say that when it comes to eating garlic, 99 of people can't beat me. Eat meat, but not garlic. Half the fragrance. Garlic can be crushed and made into garlic paste. Add a little sesame oil. It can be paired with many easily cooked meats. Put garlic in a hot and humid environment. It can be fermented into black garlic in 2 or 3 months. When you feel nauseous and vomit, you can eat some to calm down. If you put a whole head of garlic into the casing, I love eating it in sweet soup. Add salt, white wine, etc. Garlic becomes. If you soak garlic in vinegar, you can make sweet garlic. Allicin will be added in acidic conditions. The agent and amino acids undergo a series of reactions to produce different numbers of bilious snails gathered together. Compounds that form different colors, composed of 4 bilio rings. 4 oranges green snail. The green color is what makes laba garlic so special. However, the most essential way to cook garlic, I think it still comes down to brewing coffee. It is indeed better than what the middle class drinks. Others in the old world. I also really love garlic. Jews believe that garlic can enhance male virility, improve sexual ability. The ancient Greeks believed that garlic could enhance new vitality. The horizontal increase in the length of the blue bar indicates the blood vessel level. Russians admire garlic to the extreme. It can treat the flu. The Middle Ages believed the distinctive smell after eating garlic. It will terrify vampires. When I ran out into the wild, carry garlic to fight vampires. Afeld medicine believes garlic can improve physical fitness, but it makes it impossible for people to control their sexual desire. Therefore, donkeys are prohibited from eating garlic. It is ranked alongside garlic as a 5-star product. Onions are also inedible. Onions are not only from the same hometown as garlic. Even the body structure looks similar to garlic. In fact, onions and garlic are both species of the Allium genus in the Allium family. This is not hard to guess. However, the scallions, unlike the garlic, unusually diluted the forest path. When we cut open a scallion, we can see layers of leaf sheaths, composed of a structure similar to net. It is called scallion white. Onions contain a large amount of sulfur compounds. Irritating. It greatly stimulates human appetite. We most often eat scallions. Green onions can be divided into 4 categories according to their height. High-rise type. Wild talisman number 1. The short and stocky type includes the short and slender type of Tianjin midnight flag. There is a Shaanxi Sikong tall and thin type. The famous Zhangqiu parasol tree is a tall and slender type, can grow taller than a person. Even a dead walrus could be used to stick it in a seal's mouth. Besides, there are also scallions shaped like chicken legs with swollen white parts. For example, Liwu chicken leg scallions. Overall, in terms of scallion cultivation, Shandong province in my country can be said to have the most experience. Scallions are great whether you're rolling them in pancakes or stewing them with roast duck. They can all be spicy foods, but I prefer a fresher effect. I personally love eating scallions. As for eating scallions, I can say that 80 of people can't out-eat my green onions. One drawback is that it's just too big. It doesn't look very nice to sprinkle it directly on food as a garnish. At this time, we will choose a variant of scallion. Slicing scallions is very good at splitting. You can create many clones horizontally. Each one is quite small. Don't use it to make scallion and tofu salad. Or you could make it into a scallion dipping sauce for hot pot. Onions. Onions can split horizontally and also grow vertically. Another variant of scallion is the leek. I really want to improve. The chi-generating spirit path hasn't separated from the original body yet. It sprouted and grew into a new scallion directly from the old spider. The neighbors in the new village can still grow new scallions, one layer on top of another. Even Li Shimin wasn't as impatient as you. Green onions are not alone. He still has some relatives in China. For example, scallions, also known as Shai scallion. The name of the scallion has north in it. Actually, he's located on 3 continents in the northern hemisphere. They are all distributed. But what about our country? It is only distributed in northern Xinjiang. So, what about his position in the Chinese catering industry? It doesn't have a very strong presence, because the purple flowers he blooms are very beautiful. So besides using it for eating, it can also be placed in green belts as an ornamental plant. In the Mongolian steppe and Gobi, drought-resistant sand onions live there. Not only locals eat sand onions. It's said that the local lamb is so delicious. They also eat large amounts of wild onions with the sheep. The sulfides have a diminished flavor in lamb. Some Allium species are very active in summer. Cool is the wind and weirdness of spring and garlic. For example, the crab, which also has 5 hearts, using a pouring nozzle perfectly meets the standard. This plant is found in southern my country, very popular in Japan and Southeast Asia. It is a genuine native crop. Look at his Latin name. That is Aramchini. The upper half of the local crab looks like a scallion. What about the second half of the encouragement part? It is often called burnt head. Besides using it for stir-frying, it can also be like sugar. Marinate in sugar water like garlic, or pickle it into a spicy and sour flavor. What to do if you can't get jiaotou, a type of fried tofu in the north? You can use crab roe instead. In fact, they are distributed throughout the country. At first glance, these two look exactly alike. How could there be 2 different crops? If you look closely, the crab is actually a burnt crab. Its neighbors are teardrop-shaped or chicken leg-shaped. The spine often grows together. The area adjacent to the crab's white part is very white, often grows alone. It is still a very standard sphere. So this plant that looks like an onion, also known as small garlic, doesn't it sound messy? After all, for plants of the Allium genus, pretending to be ignorant is actually a very simple thing. Like garlic. In terms of feigning ignorance, he has surpassed his master. Its underground part can grow to the size of an apple. You can roast it in a fire and eat it. This knife is the same as the way I used to grill skewers when I was a kid. What about the above ground part? It tastes similar to scallions, but it wasn't that exciting. So, what about Europeans who aren't good at handling spicy food? I like to use it to make soup. This appearance, it is also very similar to a scallion. However, the leaves are not cylindrical. Instead, it has a flat shape that resembles chives. Its rebreeding is called leek. The scallion looks like a chive. It's not surprising, actually, because chives are also a type of onion, ripe wild onions. It even has another name, Mongolian wine. Now everyone finally understands. Why does chive taste so heavy? The feeling of heat. The flavor is also very strong, perhaps because chives appear to be herbaceous plants. Actually, its underground portion is also quite large. It is easy for splitting to occur. More and more. It can accumulate a lot of nutrients. Even if the surface part of the ground dies in winter, it can continue to grow leaves in the second year. One root. It has a lifespan of 3 years. Chive leaves. It's just the tool it uses for photosynthesis. If you put chives in a dark environment, he wasn't even given light. He will then be unable to synthesize phytosterol to become tender and delicious leek leaves. If the height exceeds 20 centimeters, it's even better. You can happily eat chives now. Juice is juice. Juice is ye. I know it's chives, not juice, that's it. Jesus juice is juice. Im just chives, im just juice. Don't be too greedy. Leave a 4 centimeters fork after finishing the whole thing. It's best to apply fertilizer again. Focus on sustainable development. If the chives grow to a certain height, he will be reaching his breeding season. Remove any sprouted chives promptly to prevent excessive consumption of nutrients. As for chives themselves, they are edible. If you think regular late-night drinks won't suit your taste, then try going to a bar. It is mainly distributed in Baoshan, Yunnan, Tungcheng, Dali, and other places. The leaves are very large, hence the name broadleaf moxibustion. The tree branches and roots are also very thick. It looks a bit like a scallion. It can be pickled or used as a staple food. When stir-frying, chives have been consumed by people since ancient times. Contemporary cuisine. Sunflower has basically been phased out. Chives, however, remain popular for a long time. Besides cooking and eating, chives can also be used to make steamed buns and dumplings. It was also brushed with a layer of seasoning. You can even enjoy the same barbecue treatment as king zhou. This bag of vegetables contains something extremely rare. The only downside is the chives, because the smell is too strong. It also means the 5 hearts. Alas, monks and nuns cannot eat it. This rule is so annoying. Is there no ingredient that can cure this? According to the onion theory, originating from the perpetrator, it should have been introduced to China during the Western Han Dynasty. But onions over the long years, no records were left. In the Lingnan acrobatics of the late Qing dynasty, it was mentioned. He was brought from the port of Guangzhou by foreigners from Macau, the one that was passed on. That's why it's called an onion, perhaps because it was introduced relatively late. So the onion escaped the magical landscape. It wasn't counted as a meat dish. Onions, It consists of a very developed layered forestry system. Spherical forest path. Very convenient to transport. Because the neighboring cells are particularly large, it is very convenient to observe. Onion cells. It also became many people's first love in biology. Onion cells are damaged. It can produce many sulfur-containing compounds. Therefore, it is irritating. It is toxic to both cats and dogs. It's very addictive for people. Compared to ordinary pure genus plants, onions also produce additional cis-propionaldehyde, S-oxides. When this substance spreads into the eyes, it will stimulate the nerves. This causes the tear glands to secrete a large amount of fluid. If you cut onions underwater, it will be much less irritating to the eyes. Onions, which are common in our lives, based on skin color, they can be divided into 3 categories. One type is yellow onion. The outer layer of skin is yellow or brown. It's still a normal purple color inside. This is the most common type of onion. Both the spiciness and sweetness are quite pronounced. The second type is red onions and purple onions. The flavor is a little stronger. The third type is white onion. Even the smallest one isn't very round. The epidermis is usually white or light green. suitable for sugarcane and eating raw. Hami white onions from Xinjiang are a prime example. Onions are indeed of very high status in Xinjiang. It is extremely common in various pilaf dishes and mutton stew. It is called piazzi. Onions from inland areas may have a shorter transmission time. Therefore, its presence is not very strong. At the international level, onions have a much higher status. What are the concentric rings after cutting them open? Considered a symbol of immortality. Lami's strange and deadly mummy. They just stuffed 2 onions into the breeding nest. Physically painful to the eyes. The ancient Romans also loved onions. From improving physical fitness to enhancing male virility and kidney tonification. Absolutely omnipotent. Let's look at it from a modern perspective. Worldwide, Indians are probably the best at eating onions. Stir-fried onions on a hot plate. Fried onions. Onion curry rice. Tons of onion rolls. The chef's knife skills are amazing. It all depends on whether you can chop onions into small pieces. India cannot live without onions. Just like India can't live without onions. Why are onions so cheap in India? There must be a reason why people are shaped by their environment. First of all, India has a larger population than China. There is a great demand for vegetables. Onion production. It can truly achieve a yield of 10,000 gene per mu. Absolutely amazing. Secondly, India has a hot climate. Ready-to-eat vegetarian dishes are also prone to spoilage. Onions have a long shelf life. Easy to become sparse in the month. Thirdly, we eat less meat. The vegetarian dishes were tasteless. Onions are both a seasoning and a vegetable. Unique flavor. It also has some bactericidal effect. It's less likely to cause diarrhea and is more suitable for adults. Supply falls short of demand. The price of Indian onions also fluctuates. Which ruling party? If it gets to the point where people can't afford onions, then just wait to be forced to step down. Prominent environmentalist Paul Porter also said, "I'd rather take the heads of Indians. They didn't dare to steal their onion heads." Some onions. It's not just one head. Like scallions, there are several underground. The part that grows out of the ground. Once cut off, it becomes a small onion. As for the scallions underground, look at its shape. Doesn't it look a bit like garlic? Scallions. It is very likely a hybrid of garlic and onion. If we then let the shallots split their legs and crossbreed with the scallions, he gave birth to the scallion that won the first prize. This time, garlic, scallions, chives, and onions complete a perfect closed loop. In fact, the pure species we know, only about 1,000 kinds of plant power. A few species are cultivated on a large scale. Other scattered wild monotypic species. Most of them are edible. If you are stranded in the wild, dig up some mutton to eat. Perhaps the taste is not bad, because the pure fluff is scattered fluff, like a fluffy ball. She's still very good looking, like Dutch onion fluff. Hydrangeas with a diameter of 10 centimeters are indeed beautiful. Where can plants with loose, fluffy flowers go? Many species in the Amaryllidaceae family are hanging plants. For example, the Lycoris radiata of the Amaryllidaceae family. Sounds so corny, right? But you might be familiar with its other name. That is the red spider lily. It is said that its leaves and flowers are related. The two realms cannot appear at the same time. The other name is even cooler. It is called manjasaka. The other Lycoris radiata on copper potato also exhibit a high degree of color diversity. There is a yellow spider lily, also known as the butterfly whistle. There are also rose-colored spider lilies. Pale purple Lycoris radiata. Flesh-colored spider lily. Pale pinkish purple, deer brown, and other closely related colors. Although he doesn't have a neighbor like an onion. However, it contains alkaloids. Diarrhea will occur after eating it. Vomiting, convulsions, and other conditions. In severe cases, it can even lead to death. Oh, I just realized that. I also have a stylish flower in my home. It's this vermilion. This is a tree native to Latin America. There are over 90 varieties, and they are very easy to care for. When someone gave it to me, it was a big ball. It can store a lot of backup hidden energy. It's very easy. It can then grow 2 rows of leaves thicker than Sichuan peppercorns. Just water it. It will soon grow into a large flower stalk. The flowers are huge, like trumpets. Humans have bred all sorts of complicated variants. This is called apple blossom. This is a pink surprise. This looks incredibly alluring, a black swan. This large green area is still revered and called the open air. This color-blocked one is for the dance queen. It is also one of the few fragrant amaryllis. Vibrant and unrestrained amaryllis. These are words that many people can't forget. That daffodil is just a sticky, inescapable thing. Daffodils are in China. It is a very famous type of ornamental item. I believe everyone can see it in the actual catalog. They had already figured it out. This thing definitely has something to do with garlic. The relationship is that daffodils contain alkaloids. Eat daffodils like garlic or leeks. There are also several races each year. Narcissus torments everyone, including Su Xian. What about our cultivated daffodils? It is one of the varieties of the multiflora daffodil. It is a triploid variety that relies on asexual reproduction. From the perspective of flower structure, Narcissus is divided into simple and elegant single-petal type, and the elaborate and ornate double-petaled type. If there is insufficient light when growing daffodils, however, if the temperature and humidity are high, Narcissus would feel that she is too short. They will try their best to grow as tall as a scallion, but it doesn't bloom. When pruning leaves, people discovered different parts of the new leaves of daffodils. Uneven growth may occur. So, humans took advantage of this characteristic. They devised a set of cosmetic surgery techniques for daffodils, developed the immersive environment into all sorts of strange shapes. There are daffodils that have been unloaded, painting orchids and daffodils, teapot narcissus, etc. And this Kunkin narcissus. It has long since taken the form of the patriarch. Another common type of daffodil is the yellow daffodil. It originated in Europe. Therefore, it is called Yang Shui Xianyang Suishan. His reading glasses have a sunburst pattern. Therefore, some international students also use the parking spaces. Like daffodils, clean and elegant. And there's winter snow, no? Snowflake chain. He lived a life similar to that of daffodils. And cold, damp areas. The flowers are adorable little bell shapes. The dots that are marked with yellow or green dots. The spider eggs looked rather strange. The 6 petal lobes around the flower, extending out like a thin thread. This makes him look like a spider. Some people think this thing grows underwater, by the sea, slapping dead man's hand. That's why he's called the water ghost. Perhaps they disliked the name Sichuan as too rustic. So much so that many of the flowers in the undergraduate program, they were all called by other people's names, like the clivia, whose name is orchid. But orchids are inherently considered the noble flowers. Who's serious? Lan calls herself a gentleman. What about this blue flower? It's called white lotus. It is actually a stone inscription, originally from Africa. His fellow Africans took the stage. Lilies are not only like balls. Moreover, it has high strength. After it dies and dries, it detaches from the ground, under the wind, rolling around like human heads in Huangshikan. During the scrolling process, you can scatter the seeds far away. It's really interesting. I really like stylish cases, although it doesn't have the high protein content of soybeans. But the flavor is strong. Meat. I wonder what you, the person in front of the screen, are like. Can you uphold the monastic rules? What's at the end of the video? I'd like to summarize the situation this year. Unfortunately, for the past 6 months or so, I did not receive a single video ad, even including those that have been saved up but not yet distributed. There are also no hiring customized video ads. Revenue from play counts. Even veteran bloggers are practically non-existent. I don't think we can blame anyone else for this. After all, every type of consumer has its corresponding niche blogger. I am a science popularization blogger. I could have talked about implementing economic and technological development, but am a biology blogger in science popularization. I could have talked about skincare and health, but am a wildlife blogger specializing in biology. Even though I am very loving, rescuing wild animals at my own expense. Strictly speaking, you are testing the limits of the law. In this global recession final, my positioning, it's normal to get into trouble, but I don't regret it. At least I like biology. Being able to do what you like. They are already very lucky. Having a hobby, but no income. Many hobbyists in similar situations nowadays. They all carried out self-rescue activities. There are paid courses, paid dynamic charging monthly packages, and other measures. As for myself, there are no such plans at present. But please rest assured, I will do my best to save myself. Strive to keep updated. Domestic gasoline cars can't compete with foreign cars. Can develop directly. New energy vehicles can overtake each other on a curve. As a car enthusiast, preparing to add some extra car content. Although many students on single beds probably feel the difference is quite large. It would be better to come over with some popular science information from other areas. Although my personal geography, I've also learned a lot about historical physics. But regardless of whether we consider interest or ability, personally, I think it still doesn't reach the level of export. Rather than doing something you don't like, content that is not precise enough. To improve the effectiveness of minimal lost orders, it's better to follow your heart. Create content that is both enjoyable and commercially valuable. To make cars, you need materials. The car rental fee is not much. But who has the time to spend all their time creating content with 500,600 million viewers? Here it is. I sincerely hope everyone can help me with something. If you have a new car, new energy vehicles, owner of classic off-road vehicles and special vehicles, you can contact me. The rewards everyone received, definitely not lower than the market price. They'll also give you a set of ultralight 5-speed gear for your car. 4K 120 pixel print, although it's cheaper to just talk about theory. But what about when I first entered the internet era? I've been making videos all along. I'm fascinated by this way of presenting things through video. The scene you are seeing now. All of these photos were taken during the summer vacations of 2013 and 2014. There are many protected animals inside. It's perfectly capable of supporting a short documentary. Unfortunately, although I have the equipment, it's not complete. He's honed the skill of finding animals in deserted areas at midnight, but not much photography skills. This resulted in a terrible shooting effect. I don't know whether to send it or not. Leaves have special properties. Now I've collected everything from aerial photography to the Yangtze River. Then, the equipment for high-speed vehicle photography. There will also be many Greek assistants who can shoot storyboards, like the edible shrimp and crabs that everyone asked about before. Problems with wild grass and vegetables. Finally, I can use my own vision. Express it in words. I'm sorry for bothering everyone by saying so much. Actually, there will be a lot of content in future updates. You won't see this account. Those that can be posted are definitely high quality. For video quality, I even found one recently. Simplified version of Russian currency. Hope after the new year, we can bring you more and better popular science content. I wish everyone a happy new year in advance. See you in a few days.